Planning Committee meeting for May 20th, 2026. I am the Vice Chair, Council Member Shanae Darby of the 2nd District. And I do want to make note that there is a 5:30 homelessness subcommittee on the 3rd floor. So I know I don't want people to be confused about what this meeting is about, but you are welcome to stay as long as you want if you're going to both meetings. At this time, I will call the roll for those members of the committee first. The chair for this committee, Councilmember Cabrera, is absent with leave. Councilmember Darby, I'm here, vice chair. Do we have Councilmember Nathan Field? Do we have Councilmember Alex Hackett?
Here.
Councilmember Yolanda McCoy?
Here.
Councilmember Kobe Owens? Councilmember Christian Willauer is here. She is present, walking in. And then Council President Trippy Congo. As a friendly reminder, only members of the committee should be making motions and seconding. And we're going to go ahead and proceed with the agenda. I know the first agenda item tonight, the sponsor is Councilmember Oliver. I think we have the administration here to speak to it. It's an ordinance to approve the removal of Maple Street, located between Vandiver Ave and the northern boundary of 86 Race Street from the official city map. And are you here to speak to this today? All right, thank you, Mr. Larkins.
Okay. Testing. All right, fantastic. Good afternoon, members of Congress. Sorry.
You done,
don't
you
know.
know, you know, take that. But they do call me Timu Jasmine Crockett.
A little levity. Too much news, sorry. Good afternoon, members of City Council. I am here to present the City Planning Commission resolution for the removal of Maple Street from the official city map. My name's Elliot Larkin. I'm the Director of Land Use and Planning. And tonight I'm presenting City Planning Commission Resolution 626, which was approved by the City Planning Commission at their April 21st meeting. On March 3rd, 2026, the Commissioner of Public Works for the city received a request from Delmarva Power to remove the existing portion of Maple Street between Vandiver Avenue and the north boundary line of 86 Race Street, which is currently owned by the Wilmington Urban Development Action Grant Corporation, or UDAG for short, from the official city map, and is identified on slide 1. If you can go to the next slide, thank you. Which is identified on this slide by the red arrow at its intersection with Vandiver Avenue. Now, as it's shown, this slide is Delmarva's current Brandywine substation. It's located south of Vandiver Avenue, along the northern banks of the Brandywine Creek, in an area of the subject street bed and the surrounding industrial area. Next slide, please. Now, this slide provides some historical context for the area. The Maple Street territory during the 1880s had wharves existing along the northern banks of the Brandywine Creek in the area of the subject street bed and the surrounding industrial area. Next slide, please. As illustrated here, by 1887, Adams Grubbs Coal Yard had been established, and Grubbs Lane was constructed between those wharves, the Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington Railroad right-of-way, and Vandiver Avenue. Next slide. Now, this slide shows Maple Street as it exists today. It is a dead-end street, and it has currently unknown ownership situated south of Vandiver Avenue, which is between Palmer's Row, which is the northern portion, which was originally vacated in 2020. The proposed portion of Maple Street to be removed measures approximately 20 to 40 feet and varies in width, with a 354.5 foot long, which is approximately 0.292 acres of the street bed, and it currently serves a two-way right-of-way going between the substation yards. In 1911, a 40 by 200 foot long portion of Grubbs Lane, which was situated between the wharves just north of the railroad right-of-way, was vacated by the mayor and city council, and the right-of-way was renamed to Maple Street. This vacated street bed portion is represented by the diagonal lines on this map, and the adjacent Philadelphia, Baltimore, and Washington Railroad right-of-way, which is now owned by the Wilmington Urban Development Action Grant, or UDAG, is represented by the cross-hatching. Brandywine Mills Park is shown at the bottom of this slide. And just to point out shortly, what is documented in the letter from Economic Development and included in the packet that was provided to CPC, the park and the adjacent right-of-way are owned by UDAG and is paramount to keeping pedestrian access to the Brandywine Creek, allowing for members of the public to continue to access that portion. Next slide. This slide illustrates the boundaries of the 11.9 acre M1 or light manufacturing zoning district in red, outlined in red, and the boundaries of Delmarva's 5.6 acre Brandywine substation, which are outlined in yellow. The substation occupies about 47% of that M1 zoning district, and Maple Street is clearly shown to bisect the respective yards. Next slide, please. Now, this is a rendering from Delmarva on what the new Brandywine substation switchgear would look like. They plan to build this site on an existing but obsolete 1920s era building. This building is an adjacent critical substation infrastructure which serves over 9,400 of our residential and commercial customers, which includes the hospital. This building's design was approved by the Wilmington Design Review and Preservation Commission in 2023. So all of the historical context that is necessary for this particular area have been met. Next slide, please. This slide, which is from the Department of Public Works, it verifies that the underground utilities that are currently serving Maple Street have been cut off and are capped near the intersection of Vandiver Ave, which is about planned north. Regarding the request to remove Maple Street from the official city map, on the 27th of March, Commissioner Williams of Public Works stated that the department has no objection to the vacation of Maple Street. The Director of Transportation for Public Works supports the removal of Maple Street and also noted that due to the existing surface elevation issues and the property ownership, the Transportation Division has no future need in maintaining this roadway. Maple Street does not provide any special access for current or future vehicular circulation needs. The surrounding parcels of Maple Street are owned and operated by Delmarva Power Company and utilized as a sensitive power distribution facility. Finally, an email on March 25th from Captain Morente in the Fire Marshal's office stated that He understands that Delmarva owns the parcels on both sides of Maple Street, which contain the electrical substation, the transmission lines overhead. Delmarva wishes to absorb Maple Street from the city. They've agreed to provide gate access, which was shown in that rendering, across Maple Street at the new street, providing the Wilmington Fire Department access if needed during an emergency. On behalf of the fire marshal, this office has no objection as long as WFD continues to have access. So they will utilize a knockbox or something similar to ensure that in the case of emergencies, there is access. Next slide, please. The meeting for the commission was posted and advertised as required on April 13th. Next slide. So in conclusion, the City Planning Commission recommended that City Council approve CPC Resolution 6-26, which recommends that the removal of Maple Street, shown here in red, between Vandiver Ave and UDAG's corporate parcel, also known as 86 Race Street, from the official city map. It is important to note that the UDAG Corporation's board members, which I happen to sit on, passed a motion to establish a permanent public pedestrian access easement to ensure that the community retains access to the waterfront, to provide access to the Brandywine Creek, and we will negotiate the transfer of the adjacent park from Brandywine Mills Park from the old Brandywine Village Incorporation. The owners of that particular area, it's underutilized, and the City of Wilmington, the Parks and Recreation, would like to include that in our open space, and that would be a future action. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Perfect.
Yes. No, thank you. I would like to recognize, I don't think I recognized you, Councilmember Oliver, but Councilmember Oliver is here and Councilmember Bracy. I would like to recognize them. Councilmember Oliver, you have a question?
Yes, Madam Chair. I would like to acknowledge that I walked back there. I'm very familiar with the areas in the 3rd District. Walked back there with representatives from Delmar Power, and as Commissioner Larkin stated, it's really just useless. So Delmar Power has, as he stated, has all this stuff back there. So I'm in favor. It's just not doing anything anyway, but just wanted to say I support it.
Any other comments from our council colleagues?
No.
Any questions from the public on this specific conversation? All right, so this legislation will be on the agenda the council meeting on May 21st. All right, so we're gonna move forward to the next item on our agenda. Thank you, Mr. Director Larkins. I also would like to recognize Councilmember Michelle Harley. She just walked into the room. Oh, all right. All righty. So the next resolution or ordinance is substance number 2, ordinance number 26-019 as an ordinance to amend Chapter 8 of the City Code to establish a housing trust. The sponsor for this legislation is myself. So this has been a long time coming. I have been working on this for a few years. And I thought this was the best time to move it forward, as we're currently in conversations with the mayor, administration, and of course other council members on affordable housing and putting a large pot of money into addressing long-term, short-term housing solutions. I believe that a lot of the conversations that we're having, I think we should funnel it through an affordable housing trust, make it a permanent thing where we have the community involvement. This housing trust will have a community advisory board of about 13 people. The majority of them will be appointed by the mayor. You'll have representatives from neighborhood-based housing groups, tenant advocacy, small developer representative, people with lived experience will serve on this committee. This committee will then review suggestions, recommendation from the administration, city council. They can come up with the recommendations on what do we do with the money that is placed into this housing trust. So then this conversation might come up. Maybe the community wants to give $16 million to developers. Maybe they want a lot program, right? That community advisory board will help drive that conversation. And I think it's really important because then we will have community input, we will have transparency and accountability to help guide the funds narratives, like what happens with it. And the mayor administration, this will be housed in the real estate and housing. So the administration has connections to the housing trust in that way. They get to appoint the majority of the board. And once a decision is made between the board, the administration makes their recommendations and review it, and then we'll come to city council, right? And this is very different and new. A lot of times when city council approves money for the administration to run some sort of program, the administration implements it. And a lot of times, and I don't want to speak for all council people, but I know a lot of times for me, we are left out of that conversation in regards to how the program is ran, when it's ran. Like, we really don't have any say. And I think with having a housing trust, city council now has a say to say, we agree with the plan, we don't agree with the plan, we have a voice in it. A resolution will then come once a decision is made. We want to give $16 million to developers. Once that resolution comes on our floor, city council then votes. And if 7 of us say, yes, we like that idea, then the idea happens. And other, like Newcastle County has a housing trust, similar setup. Other states and cities throughout the country has a housing trust where they have a community advisory board, and they have some of these points in it where you have administration, community, and council to help make that decision on how we spend money on affordable housing. So we could have a program where we want to give money to developers. We could have a lot program where we want to develop lots. We could say, hey, we want to give more money to the land bank. This housing trust is there to address short-term and long-term solutions, right? So I am bringing this forward to, at this point, because I think during the budget hearing, you guys will hear what the negotiations have been between council and the administration on where we land on how we should spend money on affordable housing. So I'm going to open it up to any council colleagues who have any questions or thoughts. Councilmember Yes, so we'll have public comment, and then you'll be able to make your public comment once we get there. Well, that's not how it works, though. So how it works is council makes comments, and then I'll come to you to do it. All right. So Councilmember Hackett, you can speak.
I'm fine if they want to get to public comment just because.
You want to do public comment? Okay.
Yeah.
So this is how public comment works. You walk up to here, you state your name and what district you're in, and then you have 3 minutes to make your public comment. Okay. All righty.
How's everybody doing? Okay. Now, I want to address the issue. What councilman is down in that area where Christiana Park at? Michelle? Okay. Now, that's $16 million that you about to give to developers. I'm saying you can do that, but all these abandonments down there, right down there on Norfolk Church and Spruce, okay? That money, you got carpenters, electricians, plumbers that's live down there, and homeless people. Why don't y'all take some of that money, give it to them, and let them build those abandonments up? Okay, they just sitting there, not doing nothing. Y'all want to give it to a developer so they can tear things down and raise it up for those people that can't afford it. That don't add up to me, you know what I'm saying? If you give it $16 million, give some of that money to them, okay? Homeless people need space. That was only supposed to be temporarily, those tents, for us to transition out, okay, to do something else. It wasn't for us supposed to be staying down there. That's all I'm saying. If y'all doing all this with $16 million, have a heart. Give us some of that money to these people that can fix those bandos up, okay, and make it work for them. Each person, I'm saying, that you get fixed up, if they fix it up, they can move in, okay? Then the next one you fix up, more people can move in. You know what I'm saying? It don't cost the city. It's the city property anyway. You know what I'm saying? It's the city property. Or find a apartment building that they can pay for. The city owns this stuff. So it's not like it's not theirs already. Then a little bit of money that you might give to some outside contractor, you can give it to the homeless for a cheaper price. You know what I'm saying? We're not asking for much. Okay, if they talking about June the 15th, we have to leave, okay, that's understandable. Let's work together, okay? It's not about, just kicking us out the park. It's about helping us. You ain't gonna be able to do all, like 75 people in 2 weeks, 3 weeks, trying to put them in a transition, putting them over, whatever y'all call it. I'm just asking, man, y'all need to come together. The mayor could have sent a liaison down there to talk to us. They didn't. Just have somebody come down there and talk to us. We got situations going on ourselves. We just need help. You know what I'm saying? I get little odd jobs here and there. Guys come down there, demo stuff. I put a generator down there, okay? And I bought cords for everybody and surge protectors so they can have electricity. That came out of my pocket. Nobody paid me back. Nobody gave me enough for that.
That's 10 seconds.
Then I walk around at night, me and 4 other people. We walk around just for security reasons.
Yeah, no, we appreciate your comments.
Yeah.
I believe that
And it was a fire.
there are some conversations specifically about what it looks like long term for the park, and a lot of the decisions that were made about Christiana Park City Council was not involved in them. It's mainly it's been John Carney has made those decisions in his administration. We find out when you were getting notices on the tents is when we found out that you guys were being evicted. So
Well, they actually moved down there, Carney,
Good
to
time.
get from underneath the bridge.
yes.
That's all I'm saying.
Well, I appreciate your comment. I'm gonna tell you there are council people who are advocating for a change to happen at the park. So, yes. Any other public comments? I saw your hand go up first. You can come up. So we're going to. So what public comment is about this specific legislation. So right now we're on establishing a housing trust for city council. For the
The
city.
city council for our district. Ms.
I'm so
Murray,
sorry.
Ms. Murray, whatever her name is. Where's the city
Councilmember Michelle Harley.
Yeah.
I'm not sure where she is.
She should be at this meeting. She really should.
Yeah, but your time is up, but she is not at this meeting. Sorry.
I understand why. Affordable housing, all that crap. We human beings as well.
You could start if you state your name and what district you're in.
Hi, I'm Joe Connor. I'm from the 8th Councilmanic District, and I wanted to just acknowledge my friends from the park, two of whom just left, but my other friend is still here. To speak specifically to one of the ordinances tonight, I support the one I'm not good with numbers, but I support the one you just presented. And there's another one further down that I probably won't be here long enough to do comment on, so I'm going to throw that in real quick. I think the security deposit assistance program is a heck of a great idea. I fail to understand why it should be limited to certain positions and job titles. I think there's ways to qualify, but I think it should be for people that are sleeping on couches and are putting their nickels and dimes together and not with any regard to where they work. That's the only comment I have there. And I got one last thing, and I'm going to get out of here. I am sad tonight, very sad, and I can't mask it, and I can't raise my voice or anything. I just can't. What we saw Monday was an act of profound disrespect and unspeakable cruelty. To go into that park with white shirt, high-ranking police officers, a dude from this administration, I don't know his name, and it's good that I don't, being rude and loud on the morning after Mother's Day, 4 weeks after you just gave everybody the tents. Oh, by the way, we gave you the tents. We're going to take them back now. I don't get it. I don't get it. I just don't. I don't think anybody on this council, whether I agree with you on stuff or not, I don't think there's anybody on this council that's cruel. I really don't. I think you all have hearts. I do. So please find it in your heart to figure out a way that we don't get to the 15th of June and have something we don't want to have. Thank you so much.
Yes, no, thank you.
I just figured we get this out the way. Just figured
So
we,
you want to come back to council? That's what you guys
yeah, we
want
can
to
come
do?
back. I mean, but just get this out the way. If we don't, we'll be here all night, but we can get it out the way.
So y'all want to come back to council, or do y'all want to continue public comment? Whatever y'all want to do, I'll go with the group.
I'm totally with us completing public comment, then coming back. Yeah, go.
Okay, Councilmember Willard.
So I just want to thank Councilwoman Darby. So this is what the Housing Trust would do, is it would make sure that it would be a way that we could make sure that the dollars, the public tax dollars that the city of Wilmington is spending on housing are focused on where the needs are. And it wouldn't leave it up just to one person or three people. It would create a whole structure for how this community could give input onto what our tax dollars should go to in terms of building housing, in terms of addressing our housing needs. So I really appreciate, Councilwoman Darby, the fact that you put together, that as part of this legislation, there is a community advisory board, because that's a way for people who are experiencing the issues, for people who are like facing that challenges, can weigh in. Like, this is where the money needs to go. Like the gentleman that were here earlier, like a lot of people have understanding of the housing issues, and we need to have people we need to, as a community, to be making those decisions together. So I like the fact that there's a board, but I also really like the fact that that board is making recommendations and that there's a level of accountability in addition to that, that council has to approve that. So, and then the administration also has to approve it. So it's really, for me, this housing trust, I know the administration put out this idea of giving $16 million to developers. I know people on council had concerns about it. I had a lot of concerns about it. I don't think that we should give money away so easily. I mean, these are tax dollars from Wilmington residents, and we need to be making sure that our tax dollars are spent, are really responsible. We're being really responsible. And I think this sets up an important structure for being responsible, for being fiscally responsible, but also for being, like, making sure that people who have the understanding have a role to play in making the decisions. And so I just wanted to say that, and I wanted to say that for the public comment, this is a proposal. Like, a council member, Councilwoman Darby, has put together this legislation and is saying, council members, do you support this? In order for this to pass, 7 council members have to vote yes, and the administration has to, like, sign off on it. So we're trying, I know I support this legislation, I like to be added as a co-sponsor, but we're trying to set up a structure so that we are, there's more accountability and more transparency in how we're addressing our housing needs. But we need a lot of support in order to make it pass.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Willard. I would like to recognize Councilmember Owens. He is online. I think that's it for recognitions, and we can go back to public comment for the establishing a housing trust fund. Anyone in person to make comments about the housing trust? All right, if you could state your name and you'll
I
have
cannot
3
hear
minutes.
anything. I'm totally deaf in my right ear, profound hearing loss in my left ear. I'm staying at the tent encampment at the riverfront. I'm working with Officer Bozeman to get an apartment at Ingleside. However, I have to wait until I see Social Security to get a reward letter. I don't know if you've dealt with Social Security Administration lately. You have to get an appointment months in advance. My appointment is June 20th. Now you're closing the park on the 15th. I have nowhere to go for 5 days. After I get my reward letter, I can get in Ingleside. But until then, I literally have no place to live. I have no living relatives in Delaware. I am in really poor health. I may appear like I'm drunk. I'm not. I have chronic vertigo, chronic migraine headaches, critical spinal stenosis, many other medical problems. I can't afford to lose percent. Maybe only 5 or 6 days, but where am I going to go? And they're offering a not secure place to put our belongings. That doesn't do me any good. I have a 4,400 watt generator that I bought out of my pocket that I run every couple of days. I charge everybody's phone. I don't ask for nothing. I never ask anybody for gas money or anything for it. That's out of my pocket. Yeah, I just try to help people. But it's like Mayor Carney does not care what goes on. All he wants is out. You know, when they bought the tents and all, that was a godsend. I lived in there during the winter in the worst case. My tent collapsed on me twice. I ended up staying at the Sunday breakfast mission for a little bit there. But that's intolerable for me and my condition. I mean, you got to get up at 5 o'clock in the morning. You can't come back till 6 o'clock at night. I can't deal with that. I just want to say that please extend the deadline. On the 15th, you get 30 days notice out of the blue. That's unreasonable, really. I mean, we should have longer notice than that. All right, thank you.
Yes, thank you for your comments. Any more in-person comments? Yes, if you can come up and state your name and what district you're in, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Good afternoon, council members. I didn't make his mistake, thank God. My name is Reverend Michael Lonergan. I'm an ordained clergy member in the United Church of Christ, a member of the Homes Campaign, and for the last few weeks, I've helped serve lunch to the homeless people in Christina Park on Saturday afternoons. I urge you to adopt the proposed ordinance creating an affordable housing trust and allocate the $10 million investment in the upcoming budget. The mayor's last-minute decision to close his encampment at Christina Park without a long-term plan for where the homeless children of God like Jerry will go is traumatizing, cruel, and disheartening. As the leadership of Friendship House so eloquently stated this week, this moment reinforces something we have said consistently throughout this process. Homelessness cannot be solved through any single site, organization, or short-term intervention alone. It requires sustained collaboration, coordinated systems, and a long-term commitment to creating pathways to stability. The city government must be one of the collaborators. They have a responsibility to all of their people, including the children of God who are unhoused. The Affordable Housing Trust Fund is a vital component of the pathway to stability. Pushing people from one place to another makes creating pathways to stability more difficult, if not impossible. Wilmington City Council, you folks have an opportunity to fund a budget that includes homeless shelter funding, rental assistance, and homeowner repair funds. Please don't fumble this opportunity. Pass the Affordable Housing Trust and put that $10 million in the budget to address homelessness and affordable housing. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your comments. We have one more in person. Yeah, we have 3 online, so you can come up. All right, if you can come up, state your name, district. We have 3
City
minutes.
Council members, my name is Cecilia Hobbs, and I heard you say, Councilwoman Darby, that you need $7 members, I think, for
Yeah,
it to
we need
pass.
7 votes.
So can you tell me how many you have so far, or how many you thinking you have?
I'm not sure, honestly.
I'm just wondering which ones
know
we need
for
to push.
sure,
Yeah.
like these people who Alex Hackett supports it. I know Councilmember Willauer does. I know Kobe Owen does. I believe Trippy Congo, Councilmember Congo, President Congo does. But I really can't speak to the other people. A lot of times, old school politics is you don't reveal your hand until it's time to vote. So sometimes, a lot of times, we don't know until we get to the floor, honestly.
Thank
Yeah.
you. Thank you for answering that question.
Alrighty, we're going to move online to our online commenters. We have Chris Beardsley to make comments about the Housing Trust. Is Chris Beardsley still on the line?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. If you state your name and what district you're in, and then make your comment. You have 3 minutes.
Thanks. My name is Christopher Beardsley. I urge Wilmington City Council to approve a budget that includes funding for homelessness through the Affordable Housing Trust. What we're asking for is for City Council to do better than Mayor Carney's deep disregard for homelessness and the unhoused. When it comes to housing trust funds, according to the National Low Income Housing Coalition, in the early 1980s, Congress made dramatic cuts to the federal public housing funding, slashing the budget for low-income housing subsidies by 50% in 1982 during Ronald Reagan's term, which precipitated the housing trust funds. HDFs are extremely flexible and can be used to support innovative ways to address many housing needs. The model has worked virtually in any situation. They have been created to serve small towns of about 1,000 people and the country's largest states. These funds are also very efficient. Many housing trust funds report highly successful track records addressing a wide range of critical housing needs. The impact of housing trust funds can be felt in 49 states and the Washington, D.C. area. There are at least 858 housing trust funds in cities, counties, and states that generate nearly $1.6 billion annually to support critical housing needs, underscoring the integral role these funds play in affordable housing. They exist because community organizers, housing advocates, elected officials, and other allies have agreed that a permanent stream of revenue for affordable housing should be a public priority. Michael Anderson, chair of Bridge to Power, a national housing justice network based in Cincinnati, states this: most private developers who have private equity have enough liquidity and resources that they can acquire and hold on to land and properties until the moment of development is most profitable or makes most sense or aligns with their overall business plan. On the nonprofit or housing authority side, there's no such liquidity like that. This makes consistently funded local HDFs critical. In 3 years from now, when you're going to be ready to take that old school site and turn it into a housing for people with disabilities, you know that there's going to be money in there. I urge Wilmington City Council again to approve a budget for homelessness with an affordable housing trust. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Next for public comment is Lip Bentley.
Howdy, can y'all hear me?
Yes, we do. If you could state your name, what district you're in, and you have 3 minutes for your public comment.
Thank you. My name is Lip Bentley. I am a resident of the 6th District, and I just want to say I'm for the housing trust. I also just want to say that I'm also for helping out with the first and the security deposit for that as well. But yeah, I just want to thank City Council for proposing this amendment, and I'd like to see the funds go to especially help those who are homeless, as I just think the situation down at Christiana Park is abhorrent, and I think the Carney administration is just it's just terrible what he and his administration is doing to the folks down there. So yeah, just want to say I'm for anything that y'all can do to help those people out, to get them into permanent housing, and whatever you can do to stop the evictions until everybody down there gets housing. Thank you. That's it.
Yes, no, thank you for your comment. The next and final person we have online for a public comment about the housing trust is Mimi.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we do hear you. If you could state your name, your district, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
I'm Mimi. I live in District 1. I wholeheartedly support this. I don't think that housing policy should begin at the point of homelessness. By the time someone's lost their home, it's too late. I believe this ordinance creates a path to intervene earlier to prevent displacement and help keep families stable. I think this is a step towards compassion. I feel like too many in this city have acted as though people who are struggling can just be ignored until their suffering is impossible to hide. But people who need help are just as much a part of Wilmington as anyone else. It shouldn't be that only those with wealth and influence or the ability to write campaign checks get funding or help. Responsibilities to all our residents, and especially those at risk of being left behind. And I really hope that this will push through. Please do not let it die in committee. Do not let it get watered down. Don't let it become a promise that just dissolves. And I also want to say on the record that Mayor Mirage, Mayor Photo Op, Mayor Nowhere to be Found when there's a microphone that he did not schedule, whatever you want to call him, just don't call him compassionate or accountable. Or you know what? You can't even call him someone who gives a damn about the people in the city that he is failing. Because what kind of administration looks at human beings that have nowhere to go, people who have lost everything, surviving in tents on waterlogged pallets, and say, oh, not in my line of sight? A despicable one, the lowest of the low. Thank you, Jerry and Tony, and anyone else who's going to speak tonight, any of the residents or the ones that are having their statements read. We love you and support you. And thank you, Councilmember Darby, for this ordinance. I hope you get the 7 you need. And no thank you to Mr. Mayor for the unnecessary heartache. Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you, Mimi, for your comments. Oh, one more? All right, yes, one more.
Hi, my name is Leah Kushner. I'm with the 13th District. I have been feeding the homeless every weekday after work with food that has been donated from my company. I have been doing this without pay, without reimbursement, and I have learned firsthand what is going on in the city of Wilmington. Not only are people starving, going in unhoused areas, those people who do have access to a house cannot afford it. They cannot afford their rent. They cannot afford their Delmarva power bill, which is going through the roof. And even as taxes have been raised to combat whatever, people are becoming more and more unhoused. I completely support this bill. I hope that everyone takes a look around the room and thinks about where they are today, where they were yesterday, and where they could potentially be tomorrow. Many of you have friends, family, or simply acquaintances who are struggling, who are suffering, not only potentially as unhoused, but also potentially in many other ways, be it emotionally, mentally, or physically, as we've seen today during this meeting. I think this bill will help those people, and not passing this bill would be a very red hat Trump move. And unfortunately, that's not who we are. We are a blue state. We should take care of our people and act appropriately. Thank you.
Yes, thank you for your comment. We have 2 more, so I'm going to go back in person and then go to the person online. So if you can, the person in person, if you can introduce yourself, your district, and you have 3 minutes to speak.
Thank you so much. My name is Gene Messick. I work with the homeless in Christiana Park in District 4. I want to speak to the whiplash that we've been experiencing these past 2 months. You know, when you're homeless, you have 4 needs. You have food, you have water, you have shelter, you have the pursuit of happiness. And there are only so many minutes, so many hours every day that you can decide which one of those you want to solve for today. Because it's very difficult to get any one of those things. Many people go without most for multiple days in a streak, you know. 4 days ago, our mutual aid organization was trying to put together plans on how to distribute water to people in the park. With the record heats coming and the summer and the heat wave and everything like that. And then we get this notice on Monday, the same notice that you guys received on Monday, that, now we need to worry about shelter again. We need to worry about that. And that one always takes so much longer to get. You heard from Jerry earlier. He can't get housing in the time allotted. I've been in here in this building 2-3 times a week for almost 2 months now, trying to get this message out. And I'm down at the park almost every day too, trying to get them to come out and speak as well. You know how hard it was to build enough trust to get them to come here and speak to you tonight? The city has worked hard to build this trust. And now with this eviction, you're dispersing them to the wind and they'll never trust you again. You're only going to make it harder to connect them with the services that they need. So, please pass this housing trust as quickly as possible and start talking about investing some of that money that you're putting into it into expanding access to shelter, because we need it now. We need it today. And if you can, please do something to stop Kearney. This sweep cannot happen. Thank you.
For your comment. We are going to go online. We have Adam Whitney. And we're on the housing trust legislation.
Yeah, as others said, I definitely support, and I hope you can get the 7 votes and somehow prevent Kearney from vetoing it. I think the problem that we've been coming up with for as long as this affordable housing conversation has been going on is a lack of good faith from John Kearney and, landlord-aligned members of the council. I think that, after this, even if the best comes true, we need to look at, what can the public do more than just, pressure and hope and pray that, suddenly John Kearney gets a heart and aligns. You guys are put in a position of limited power, and you're lifting a lot of weight with what power you're given. So thank you all. But I think the public also needs to start talking about, if it's a tenable situation, that there's almost an intentional minority of people that are able to help us, and the people with the actual deciding power just get to say, screw you, no. That's all I'll say. Thank you for putting this together.
Yes, no, thank you. So we are concluding public comment. I see another hand going up. You can make a public comment later or now. Or we have other housing legislation. If you're not, because honestly, most people aren't speaking to the housing trust, but y'all are talking about the park. But yeah,
I can go now. That's cool. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, go ahead. And really quick with the park situation. I don't know if there's a way if we can go to Kearney, maybe go to his office. Maybe. I don't know, put some tents up around, I don't know, because honestly, this is a John Kearney decision. City Council, we are, on our end, we are pushing against it and fighting it, but it's really administration's decision. Yeah, y'all gonna have to protest, some tents outside his house, I don't know, but all right.
My name is Alex. I live in the at-large district, and I'm here to speak in support of the ordinance to establish the housing trust. The city of Wilmington has a responsibility to all of its residents, including the unhoused, and right now it is failing. The mayor's decision to close the park without a plan for where the unhoused are going to go is destroying what little trust and goodwill has already been built since the park was sanctioned. The mayor's administration is treating them like an inconvenience, something that needs to be swept away because it's unsightly. As long as affordable housing is in short supply, you're going to have a homeless population. Closing the only encampment where where resources can be centralized does not change that. You can start correcting this by passing a budget that includes funding for homeless shelters, rental assistance, and home and repair funds. This is the bare minimum. Please don't mess this up. Pass the Housing Trust and put $10 million in the budget to address homelessness and affordable housing. Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you. So that is the end of public comment. I do want to come to council colleagues. I know you guys didn't get a chance. Well, Christian did have one comment, but to give you guys the opportunity to speak to this piece of legislation. Councilmember Willauer, did you have your hand up or you what, Councilmember Hackett?
Thank you, Chair. Once again, I'm just happy that we continue to put legislation forward that's helping our residents, especially when we look at the climate of our city and we look at, we have renters in our city. And, the one thing I continue to say when I meet with council and other, people that is in our office is that as our community changes, as the world changes, we got to continue to evolve and make sure that our budget is changing to reflect what that looks like. So, I think we're right on par. I think, the mayor is striving really hard on housing to be able to build housing so that people could buy it, first-time home buyers. But we have other categories that fall into place in our city. So, I'm just happy that we continue to come up with different things. And the thing that sometimes bothers me is, council and the mayor's administration, we're supposed to be solution-based. We're supposed to figure out if something doesn't look like what we want it to look like, we bring solutions to make it work, to try to figure out options to make things work, not tell each other that this doesn't fit the plan, this doesn't fit how we look. No, we need more solutions because obviously renters are saying that they need help. Obviously people in our community are saying that they need help on all different things. So this is just, one thing for my council to realize as we go together and we look and we say, we got to continue to battle together because this is just should be a solution-based effort at all times. So.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Willauer, do you have another comment?
Thank you, Madam Chair. I did see a couple of things which I'm going to give to you after this committee meeting that I think maybe the legislation could be tightened up just a little bit. There's some repetition and like a little contradiction, but the way this works is we can give you those and you can decide whether or not you want to make any adjustments between now and when this actually goes to a vote by council.
Correct, yes. All righty. Anyone online?
Before we wrap up.
Yes,
I
Councilman.
just had one more thing. I think it's so important that you, like the advisory board, that people are going to be able to sit and talk and be able to look at our community because sometimes when you're in it, you might not see everything. So to get other people that's going to be involved that might have been doing this work for 30 years, might have been doing the work for 30 days. But just different opinions sometimes are able to spark up different things so that we can see what our city looks like. So I'm happy with the advisory board. And a lot of times people don't know in our department, when people want to do things in our department, they go in and get a study done. And that study comes back to us. And, we basically look at the study and we say, okay, well, the study says we need to do this. And I think that's the same thing, especially when we're talking about this housing trust. But we are getting ready to donate. I wouldn't say donate, but we're all getting ready to give a large amount of money from the city pot to go in and figure out how we're going to build housing. So I think this is right on time.
Yes, thank you. Online, I have Councilmember McCoy who has a comment.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. The reason why, I just want to say thank you to everyone who gave their public comment. My question is, the last time that we corresponded about this, the Housing Trust, because we did have conversations, I was very, you made me very informed about exactly what it was. But if I recall, or maybe I'm mistaken, that your ask was like 10% of what you're asking now. So I just wanted to know what was the catalyst, tell me the process and why you felt as though you needed to increase it so much. That's all.
Yes, so the number actually came from in response to the administration. So the number was lower until the budget session happened, and we heard that the administration was to give $16 million to developers. So if you can give $16 million to developers, I thought they could put more money into the housing trust. Honestly, that was the thought process.
Okay, thank you. That's all I have.
Yes. All right, so that ordinance would be on the June 4th council meeting. So it will move to there and we'll be able to vote. So again, we need 7 people. So call your council person. Oh, Councilmember Willauer.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. I just had one final thing, which was to talk a little bit about how this legislation fits in with the overall budget. Would that be okay?
That is fine.
So, you know, the where we are in the budget season is that the administration presents a budget, and then council has held hearings for the last month on that budget, and then we have to vote to approve that budget. The budget doesn't become law until the council votes to approve the budget. And so the administration, like a lot of people have mentioned tonight, did propose giving $16 million to developers. And some council members have come back with an alternative proposal. And I just wanted to say, you know, this affordable housing trust fits into that alternative proposal. Like this, instead of, you know, giving $16 million to developers, another $2 million on vacant lots, the amendment, the alternative that some council members have put forward, and these pieces of legislation, like the reason I'm bringing it up is these pieces of legislation are part of that, or at least would be funded by that, is to actually fund these things that we're talking about tonight through this budget. So that's what some of us have been advocating for. And just to be clear, you know, we're talking about eviction prevention tonight. The proposal would be that some council members are advocating for would be to allocate from this year's budget $500,000 for eviction prevention. And then for emergency rental assistance, we're not talking about that tonight, but that would be, you know, if somebody has an emergency, they can't pay the rent, there'd be a fund available so they wouldn't have to get evicted. That proposal, again, $500,000. And then homeowner repair, the thing that some council members have been put forward as an alternative to like the big giving money to developers proposal would be $500,000 for homeowner repair. That's based on a wait list, not a lottery. And then legislation that is about security deposit, giving assistance for security deposit and first month's rent. I believe that's also on the agenda tonight. That would be funded. Like it's proposed by some council members to fund that legislation with $500,000. And then the last thing would be, again, to do something about property tax assessments. There's just so many errors in property tax assessments. So many people are paying more than their fair share. Other people, you know, some of the bigger businesses are paying less, maybe less than their fair share based on the actual value of their property. So we need to do something about that. So that proposal would be $500,000 for those 5 different, you know, approaches to what housing needs are. And then the last would be $10 million for the Affordable Housing Trust. And then some council members, you know, have been advocating for that. And then the last thing would be to ask the state to match that with $10 million from the bond bill, from the state bond bill. So I just wanted to kind of say how these all things fit together. But I'm not going to talk that much more, Councilwoman Darby. Thank you.
No, that is fine. Thank you, Councilmember Willauer. So that piece of legislation to establish a housing trust will be on June 4th. We need 7 votes. Our next piece of legislation is ordinance number 26-028, an ordinance to amend Chapter 5 and 34 of the City Code to create an online rental property registry. This sponsor is myself. This piece of legislation will create on the city website a place for landlords to be able to go online and register their properties. Currently, right now, landlords have to come inside of the building to do any work, to update an address, to register their property. This would streamline the process to make it easier. And also, it reduces administrative burden for the L&I department by having landlords be able to do this online. So that's the very simple piece of this. It just creates an online registry. landlords can go in there. They can also, like, if they need to update owners' information, contact information, they'll be able to go online and do it. So we're just a little bit of history about this piece of legislation. In my first term, and when Councilmember Willauer was a regular, just a citizen, we worked with a landlord engagement lab program, and we created a committee where it represented residents, landlords, it was property managers, different people who sat on this committee, and we talked to landlords and renters and said, how can we improve our processes? And one thing that landlords asked for was an online rental property registry, and we thought it was a great idea. We did research, we looked at what other cities had, we went and visited another city in Lancaster. So this is just continuation of that work and actually implementing some of the recommendations that we did. So I don't know if any of my council colleagues have any questions, comments. Councilmember Hackett.
Yeah, you can add me as a co-sponsor. I just think this legislation is important. Once again, all of our apartments that are online should be registered somewhere. So we should have the data. So once again, we're evolving. This technology is evolving. We need to make sure that we're on top of that. For somebody to go through all the process they need to, but be at home and update their property or upload it, I think it'd be beneficial and give them enough time. So.
Councilmember Willauer.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. Yes, I'd like to ask to be added as a co-sponsor, and I'm just really happy to see you moving the ideas from the Landlord Engagement Lab. I think that you developed that out of a partnership with the National League of Cities.
Yes.
And I just remember a lot of ideas being generated from renters plus landlords and plus seeing what other people were doing, and I'm just so happy to see you taking all that information, kind of running that kind of approach to getting ideas from the broader community and then turning it into real change. So I'd like to be added as a co-sponsor.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Owens.
Can you have me as a co-sponsor?
Thank you. Councilmember Hackett?
Yeah, I do have another question, and fill me in. I don't see any fiscal impact on this.
We did have one. I don't know if it's not on this piece of legislation. Is it updated online with the fiscal impact, Elijah or Marshall? Did we get one? No. I thought we did. No. Well, I'll update council on that. I guess we'll send the email on and upload it. I did have meetings with the administration. I'm sorry, yes, Elijah? Oh, I did have meetings with the administration on this and L&I and all the departments. They were very, they're supportive to your face. They're supportive of it in the meetings that we're in, right? And they talked about having to integrate a lot of their systems. Like one department was using A system and this department is using B system. So they were talking about finding ways to make A and B connect by using C. So they were very in support of it. But once we get the fiscal impact, I can make sure that's sent over. Yes, Councilman Rackett?
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I only asked because they talked about like Salesforce and different applications that I know that possibly could, help out with different things to this. But I know we voted on making sure that fiscal impacts was there. So just wanted to make sure because I don't want anything to be surprised. We get all the way to the, floor and then there's a fiscal note that somehow impacts the voter decisions based on other council at that point, So, I just wanted to see, where that was at today because I don't want to get blindsided.
Yeah, I don't know how they let that one slide through, but yeah, hopefully we get a fiscal impact soon. Nothing, Elijah. Okay, be good. All right. Councilmember McCoy has her hand up.
Yes, actually, I think you might have addressed it. That was going to be my question, whether or not you're talking to the commissioner to find out whether or not there was much reworking that we had to do with our systems in order to be able to program things. I know Salesforce, they're making it do backflips right now, and I just wanted to know whether or not that is something we can still use and add on in order to make this something that is plausible, or will we need something totally different? Because that would definitely be an issue.
Yes, no, that's definitely conversations back and forth with the administration. So they were definitely on board with the online registry. They just have to figure out their systems. This was back like in November when we met, maybe November, December. So, yeah, well, I guess we'll get updated on the fiscal impact sometime by next week. Or this is supposed to be on the June 4th City Council meeting. But public comment. Do we have anyone online about online registries? Anyone in person for online registry? Well, we're going to move to the next piece of ordinance on our agenda here, which is ordinance number 26-028. Why did it have the same number? Oh, I can't read. 028. Oh, it looked the same. An ordinance to amend Chapter 2 of the City Code related to the functions of the Department of Real Estate and Housing, allowing the department to spend neighborhood stabilization fund to assist in settling eviction proceedings. And the council member for this piece of legislation is Councilmember Willauer.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. So this piece of legislation is meant to provide a way for the city of Wilmington to play a role in helping people access assistance to settle cases when they're being evicted for rent that wasn't paid. And this is meant to be part of a larger effort in the state of Delaware to reduce eviction. Too many people are facing eviction. Too many people are losing their housing stability as a result of eviction. And the state has put together some responses, and this is a way for the city of Wilmington to be part of that response. And part of what the state has done is fund legal aid organizations to provide legal representation for people who are facing eviction. But sometimes legal aid gets to the table and there's $1,000 that's owed. And what this legislation does is provides that $1,000 that's needed for that landlord to settle the case, not evict the tenant, and for the tenant to stay in their homes. And what the problem with that's being addressed is that the legal assistance is there, but the funding to address some back due rent needs to complement that in order to avoid the eviction. So what this would do is create the ability for the city of Wilmington to establish memorandum of understanding with the organizations that, as part of the law, as part of the eviction prevention law that's statewide, that are providing this legal assistance and that are being funded by the state to provide this legal assistance to renters who are facing eviction, that this would establish a partnership between the city of Wilmington and those agencies that would enable the city of Wilmington to allocate money for settling those cases. And the way it's set up is that it would it enables the Department of Real Estate and Housing to set up that program, establish that memorandum of understanding. And then some people have said, oh yeah, you can't do this kind of thing because it sets up like an ongoing financial commitment. But actually that's not the way this program would work. The way this program would work is every year in a budget allocation, the city could choose how much to allocate for eviction prevention. So this year, like I said, some of us are advocating for $500,000, but that gets passed as part of the budget. All this legislation does is enables the Department of Real Estate and Housing to set up the program. And the reason it's set up with some agencies but not others is because those agencies are funded by the state to provide free legal assistance to low-income households. So working directly with them is beneficial. And then Yeah, the last thing I wanted to say is I did have meetings with the Classy and the legal aid organizations and the Department of Real Estate and Housing. And, at that time, there was a lot of enthusiasm for how to try to make this program work. So obviously it has to get passed by council in order for the Department of Real Estate and Housing to move forward with creating that program.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Willauer. Do we have any questions from council colleagues about this ordinance? No. Do we have any in-person public comments for this piece of legislation? Yes, if you're able to come up, state your name. Should we come together? Yeah, come together, yes. Pairs. We like them, yeah, come on. All right, if you could state your name.
Evening, council
Yes.
members. As you probably remember, we were here, 6 months ago when we talked about the right to representation. My name is Lisa Lessner. I am the right to representation coordinator, coordinating Delaware's 3 agencies that are implementing the new law that was passed by the state legislature in 2023. This is Jen Perez, who's here representing Classy, Community Legal Aid Society. We also are partnering with Legal Services Corporation of Delaware and Delaware Volunteer and Legal Services. So just a quick overview of what the right to representation is doing. Before 2020, or in 2019, before we started talking about this legislation, there were 18,000 evictions filed in the state per year. And since the legislation has been passed, we're down to about 12,000 eviction filings. So it's just that raised the awareness of landlords and community members about the importance of resolving cases before they get filed. Defaults are down, which means people that don't show up has been reduced, and the legal aid agencies are now providing eviction defense for about 2,000 cases per year, which is an amazing increase over where we started, which was just a couple of hundred. When we started, landlords had 88% representation for their cases, and tenants had about 2%. So we are now up to probably about 20%. So the city of Wilmington has, in the past year, I think between 7,000 and 8,000 eviction filings per year. And during COVID, we had access to funds that we called settlement assistance funds. And I know that's a little bit of a confusing term, but it's to help settle cases. It doesn't have anything to do with settling, home buying. And the agencies were able to use these funds. We had a maximum of $1,500, and they averaged about $1,200. And they were able to bring landlords and tenants to the table for that amount of money. And Jen could give us a lot more information about how that worked, but it was just an amazing result of being able to get the two sides to the table and negotiate. And so we have been successful. The ARPA funds were used up, and we now have, so we're trying to make up those funds in any way we can. And so we got Newcastle County has passed an ordinance for $300,000 for us to use, and it includes city residents. And we also got a grant from TD Bank for $250,000. We've had conversations at the state level that if we get City of Wilmington and the county, that the state will notice and also participate. So we're hopeful that we can have participation.
You're the last link.
You are the last link. There you go.
There's a lot of pressure on us here. We got to fight the administration. All right. So, do you want to add anything to the conversation or have any comments? I do have some questions that I think you guys will be able to answer. So,
absolutely. My name is Jennifer Perez. I'm the managing attorney of the housing unit at Community Legal Aid Society. And I can tell you from experience, having administered other similar funding in the past, I'm a boots on the ground attorney. I'm not necessarily sitting in boardrooms. I'm not necessarily in council meetings all the time. I'm in courtrooms. And I can tell you that this funding works. It works, the model works. I've administered these programs before, and I have settled so many cases with these funds, and all of my attorneys and my qualified tenant advocates are always very excited to hear when we've put in an application or we're working for funding because it works. I'd like to address some of the opposition that was expressed in a letter submitted by Mayor Carney, just to sort of maybe allay some of the concerns that were expressed in the letter.
Yes.
First was a concern that there were fixed vendors, that only the legal aid agencies were permitted to utilize the funds. My response to that is that this is addressing a very specific scenario, a scenario where the pre-filing is done, right? The landlord has already sent out legal notices, the tenant didn't pay within a prescribed period of time, and the landlord has already filed a case against that person in court. Once that happens, these actions are called summary proceeding for a reason. They're summary, meaning they happen very quickly. They don't necessarily take years like other kinds of legislation, or other kinds of litigation, rather. And so it's very important to understand that this is addressing a very specific fact pattern where you need a lawyer. You need a lawyer to intervene. You need a lawyer to stop the eviction. You need a lawyer to maybe get a stipulated order signed by a judge saying that this person will get to stay in their housing if the money is handed over. I think I also want to point out I am not against other agencies getting money. I love being able to reach a case really, really early in the game before the landlord has filed and be able to say to my client, call Catholic Charities, call St. Vincent de Paul. I love to be able to do that. But I also acknowledge that not every tenant who's in a situation can be helped. Sometimes the tenant is beyond that and needs an attorney who can have quick access to monies and be able to have a quick turnover in their case. The second concern expressed in the letter was that it didn't have a holistic approach. There was a suggestion that maybe the funds needed to be only handed over to folks who engaged in things like financial counseling and extensive case management. I can tell you, as someone who's boots on the ground, that wouldn't work for someone who already has a case filed against them. Why? Because these cases are happening very fast, too fast. If you put restrictions on folks and say you can't have this money until you've signed up for this, that met with this person and that person, it wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. When we have our cases, it's so easy to be able to have an internal process where we can make a request and be able to get those monies quickly. I also want to point out that our case handlers, our qualified tenant advocates, and lawyers they vet the cases. So they're only asking for monies in cases where the monies will actually present a positive outcome for the client. We also want to be good stewards of the money that we've been granted. So we carefully vet the money that we're handing over, and we only grant those requests for folks where it would actually make a difference. Also, we have strong connections with the community. We're actually working with a social work student right now who's also going to be helping us administer the other grants that we've received, who part of her job will be referrals and sort of referring to services in the community to have sort of that holistic approach. Another concern was that these funds should not be going towards things like operational costs and salaries. Actually, that one I agree on. I agree that if there's a way that we can draft this legislation to make it restricted, I don't think the money should be going towards my salary, and that's not the intent. I know that that was never what it was going to be.
It already is. Like, it's only for settlement assistance.
Right, that's what
There's no administrative costs allowed
Correct.
in this legislation.
Yep. I agree. And so, I agree that it shouldn't be going towards any operational costs, and that was never the intent of the ordinance. And the way that the ordinance is drafted, it also does have a provision in there that gives the director the power to promulgate policies and procedures as well. So I just wanted to point that out. There was also some concern that, quote, similar programs failed in other jurisdictions, but I think that those were very situational. You know, I don't know if you want to talk about why those other programs that were cited maybe weren't successful. I know that, you know, the timing of it being COVID was part of it. I also think that some of those programs couldn't deal with the capacity that they were dealing with, the volume of cases. And I think that we're
And
not.
I think they were paying administrative costs, which is
Right.
not our request here. We
Right.
have funding from the state to pay for our legal aid costs.
Right, right.
Okay. Well, I was going to ask you to address, that was going to be my questions, to address some of these things in the letter. So you answered the majority of it, but I don't know if my other council colleagues, if you guys have any questions based on like what the administration is saying, or Councilmember Willauer, or anything, anyone online, because I can't see online. Any council members? Any other public comments? Online, in person, we're good. Alrighty. Councilmember Willauer, would you like to close out with anything for your legislation?
Yes, I wanted to thank the Legal Aid Societies for coming and making a presentation and clarifying some of those issues. I also wanted to say that the reason why we're putting this together and putting all these different, housing solutions up for a vote for council is because constituents talk to me about, I hear, people contact me because they're getting evicted. And, we talk about homelessness, there's a lot of attention on Christina Park, and there has to be a lot of attention because it's not, right what's happening there. At the same time, we all have a lot of constituents that are facing a wide variety of housing issues, and we're trying to put together solutions to address them. And, you said $1,200. There's math at the back of this thing, that the fiscal impact scenarios, and they say, we could impact for $1,500 per renter, which is actually more than what you said the average is. We can impact 300 families and help them stay in their homes. So that's the kind of impact that, we're looking to achieve, this broader impact with our, tax dollars. How do we keep people at home?
Yes, thank you.
Can I-
Yes, you can respond.
Can I
Yes.
respond to that?
Yes.
Because I 100% agree. And I actually did something. I went back in my emails and I looked at previous requests that I had made on some of my cases. Of course, I have to redact names. And there are great examples of cases where we have been able to create long-term impact with, the $1,200. So I'd like to read them to you, if you don't mind. Would you like to hear some examples? Okay.
Yes.
I would like to request funds in the amount of $1,500 to assist Ms. Smith so that she can remain housed. Ms. Smith is a single mother with 2 small children. Ms. Smith fell behind on rent because she was cut off of Medicaid and so had to pay out of pocket for medical expenses for needed health care emergencies. Wilmington Housing Authority is willing to enter into payment agreement with Ms. Smith and allow her to stay if Classy pays $1,500, and Ms. Smith pays an additional $58 per month for the next 12 months. She has not had any other issues with the landlord, and the landlord had stated that she would need to sign a repayment agreement by the end of the year. Another example, I have attached an check request in the amount of $870 in this case, for Mr. Johnson, for Mr. Johnson's past due balance. Mr. Johnson is a disabled veteran who lives in a unit that is federally subsidized via a VASH voucher administered by the Wilmington Housing Authority. He has an eviction trial scheduled for August 30th at 8:30. His landlord has agreed to accept these funds and will allow him to stay in his rental unit. These monies will help preserve Mr. Johnson's current housing and his voucher. As little as $870 can help.
No, thank you.
Stabilize.
Yes. So we do have one in-person and one online comments. Thank you guys for coming. And I don't know if you guys will be able to write some of your responses so that we can share it with the other council people on your thoughts. Because that was one of my questions too, is like, they're saying these other programs failed, but I think putting it into context of like COVID and capacity, I think that matters for the other council people who aren't here tonight to hear that. So I don't know if you're able to, but that would be great. Sure. That would help. Yes, thank you. So the one in-person comment, if you can come up and speak.
Is the person with their hand raised Mimi Sevelis?
Yes.
Okay, she was just asking me to make sure that you guys got to her.
Okay, yes. So Mimi online.
Hi, it's me again. So thank you, Councilmember Willauer. Eviction protection is super important. I like that it's not just being seen as paperwork because we all know it's traumatic. It's panic of trying to pack up your life in boxes. And I love that it's set at the 350% federal poverty line. It's a number that really reflects who's struggling, and I appreciate that. I feel like there's too many people in the city that are just one emergency or one rent increase away from losing their home. And I'm tired of those people being made out to be failures. They're not failures, they're human. And I have some questions, and please forgive me if I'm just misunderstanding. So this only activates once someone is already in court and only if funds are available. So does that mean that you can qualify for everything but be told that there's no funds? I mean, in theory, this absolutely helps. We know what happens when there is no help. Christina Park, those are not people who fell from the sky. They're people who needed an intervention that never came. And instead of reckoning with that failure, the mayor sent his people to sweep the evidence of his failure off the street and into the shadows, but I digress. And one more question here. I want to make sure I heard this correctly. So the mayor of our city is arguing that because something was hard somewhere else that we shouldn't bother, and then he wants financial counseling requirements. So you want someone who just got an eviction notice, who's going through the process, who has no idea where their children are going to sleep, who's already in court proceedings, to stop everything and enroll in counseling. I'm sorry, that makes absolutely no sense to me. Please do not let the mayor derail this. Eviction protection is a great first step, and I thank you for putting this on the table. Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi, for your comments. I think we have no more public comments. Christian, that was your closing out. So this piece of legislation will also be on the June 4th City Council meeting, and we need 7 votes. So call your council colleagues, or your my colleagues, but your council representatives. Our next piece of legislation is also Councilmember Willauer. This is an ordinance to amend Chapter 8 of the City Code to create a home repair program. Councilmember Willauer.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So this legislation, many people are already familiar with. The City of Wilmington, through past budgets, has put money aside through the Neighborhood Stabilization Program for homeowner repair. I think it's been $1 million, it's been $2 million over time, but it has always gone into, it's only been the last few years, it's only been since COVID. And also, it goes into a lottery. So you have to, if you're interested in getting a home repair, you have to, show up and be aware that there's a lottery happening, apply to the lottery, get chosen to the lottery. And a lot of communities have home repair programs that don't operate on a lottery basis. They operate on a wait list, so that, if a person has a needed home repair that they can't afford, they can contact the city, and they can, if the funds aren't available at that time, they can be on a wait list. Or, sometimes there's homeowners who have code violations. The city could refer those homeowners to this source of funds, and they could, again, if they can apply at that time. If there's funds available, they could, qualify. But if they don't, if there's not, they don't just have to wait and hope that they qualify for the next lottery. So the lottery system's difficult for, seniors, difficult for people that aren't that connected to the news, and only having to apply once to a program makes more sense. So I did talk to this with the Department of Real Estate and Housing. They said that it, was something that they would be interested in working on. And what the legislation does is it enables the Department of Real Estate and Housing to set up a homeowner repair program that is ongoing. And it's restricted to households with incomes of less than 80%, because we do want to make tax dollars focus on you know, where people are likely to really not be able to pay for repairs. And then also, it enables the Department of Real Estate and Housing to contract out with a organization that has a lot of experience running homeowner repair. So it gives the Department of Real Estate and Housing a lot of flexibility to build the program, which is what our goal was. You know, if we pass this, which I'm hoping we do, I'm hoping we get 7 votes, it gives direction to the Department of Real Estate and Housing, but gives the Department of Real Estate and Housing some flexibility in designing the program.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Willauer. Councilmember Hackett?
Thank you. I want to thank Councilwoman Willauer for bringing us to, you know, like I've been arguing day and night about our neighborhood stabilization and when we look at our home repair lottery, what it looks like. For time now, if you talk about it, you hear a lot of times the lottery, people are getting selected. Once they get to the house and they realize that they have to put a roof on, there's a lot of times that they figure out they got to fix the floor first. You know, so a lot of the work is getting delayed. I think the work is still in FY 2025. Haven't even started FY 2026. So I think this program will allow us to look at home repairs different. Everybody will be able to submit their repairs that they need in the city. Some might say, hey, I just needed new paint. You know, I just needed a new little sidewalk, a little adjustment to my porch. But we'll be able to allocate that list, and we might be able to help more people as well. Those costs might be a little bit lower. We'll also be able to maybe also incorporate some of the minority, smaller developers to be able to come in and help some of those smaller tasks so that they can continue to grow. So I think this is really beneficial. I think it also spreads our reach. If you look at our program that we have today, we probably spent almost $3.5 million, but only helped 286 people. I won't say only, because I think that's, you know, still great that we get an opportunity to help and people stay inside the houses that, you know, that they bought and they continue to live there and stay in the city of Wilmington. But with this program, I think we get an opportunity to grow that number exponentially and faster, especially looking at those different things. So once again, thank you. And I think this is really important for our council too, to look at. We have this neighborhood stabilization. Once again, our fund that we have now for the lottery is taking time. We're doing the lottery, but the work is not keeping up with the lottery. So this also, you know, gives us that opportunity to also change that format and that give us some more time. And hopefully, you know, people vote on it, you know.
Yeah. Any council comments online? Councilmember McCoy?
Yes, thank you. Actually, I had like 2 questions about this. First, I wanted to find out about whether or not this list that that Councilwoman Willauer envisions, is it like first come, first served, or by priority? That was the first question.
Councilmember Willauer?
Thank you, Councilwoman McCoy. I think that the program set up by, I'm hoping the Department of Real Estate and Housing will work with council members to design the program. And, you know, I am hoping to sit down with them and see if there's a carve out for maybe emergencies, you know, so that I think that it can be designed in ways that meet needs that we see. So it's it could be first come, first serve. It could be like mostly first come, first serve. It could be like a portion of it is, you know, if there's a real emergency that gets prioritized. But I think the great thing about this legislation is that it has some flexibility for how the program could be built. And actually talking with Director Weir, he thought it would be good to have that flexibility because they might discover things as they go along and want to change up the program. So I think that this legislation gives that chance to, you know, tweak the program as we go along.
Yes, thank you.
If I may follow?
Yes, Councilmember McCoy.
Thank you. So my next question is that because of the fact that, yes, it is true that we are basically just starting to begin the last lottery that we pulled, like, you know, many, many moons ago, when will, like, if this was actually the past, then where would these people fall into place? Are they still then going to be behind the lottery people who've actually been waiting all this time? Well, like, when does that list begin? And I do understand that you want to maybe bring other maybe contractors somebody in there in order to help, get this thing moving forward. But I'm just kind of like, just a little questions that come to mind because I actually have always thought that we needed to have some emergency money because I've seen some issues where people needed something right now, and the fact that the lottery has always been a game of chance. But when I don't think of paint or things of that nature like little code violations, I think of somebody's sailing about the cave in on their head. Those are the types of issues that I've had to come against and had to identify funds to help these people.
Yes,
So
Councilman
I
Willow.
wanted to know like
Oh, sorry.
where they fall into place at when it comes to, are they going to still have to wait behind the lottery people to get that started?
Councilmember Willauer.
So thanks a lot, Councilwoman McCoy. And I think that operations, we're going to have to talk to the Department of Real Estate and Housing about operations because I think the lottery has been, it has been operated with Habitat for Humanity. But that's only one organization that can coordinate homeowner repairs. So if they don't have the capacity, the Department of Real Estate and Housing can issue an RFP and solicit another organization to, run this component of the program while Habitat for Humanity is busy finishing up, all the lottery. Or maybe if Habitat for Humanity submits, wants to be part of this new program, they could develop additional capacity. But I do agree with Councilman Hackett that there are local skilled tradesmen in Wilmington that we want to get the resources in place to connect them with the jobs that need to be done and build up the homes that Wilmington City residents are in, so that they don't have to deal with a leaky roof and they don't have to deal with, the ceiling you're talking about.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Willauer. I do want to say that before there was a lottery, my time has been short on city council, only 6-7 years. But prior to the lottery, there was a home repair program where people can contact real estate and housing. You would I helped a few people do the program. You would contact them, fill out the application, and then they would provide assistance to you. So this isn't something new that the city has never done before. The lottery thing is actually new. And we only went to the lottery thing because once we reestablished the Neighborhood Stabilization Fund, City Council, I believe in the first term, we then released the money to the administration, and then, of course, the administration has all say on what they do with the money. And Mayor Przicki at the time decided that they wanted a lottery. It wasn't even a city council decision to do a lottery with the neighborhood stabilization funds that we were putting in for home repairs. But I think going back to the program is really what's happening here. We need to go get away from the lottery and get back to the program. Councilmember Owens.
Thank you, Madam Chair. First off, I would like to be added as a co-sponsor on this and just say thank you to the Councilwoman Willauer for working so hard and diligently on this. I think this is long overdue and definitely needed here in the city of Wilmington. So anything I could do to help get this passed, please let me know.
Yes, thank you. Councilmember Hackett.
Yeah, I just want to say, when you look at the city and their services, you try to figure out how you can get services done quickly, fast for residents, and I think if you only had one person doing the job, when they're not, like Councilwoman Willauer said, when they're not available, then these services have to be held up. They can't get done. But these people in these houses still have these same problems. So I just think this opens it up. We have a lot of minority, small developers that could be using this, because a lot of times we talk about the large developers and what we give to them. We need to start figuring out ways to get back to the small developers. I think this helps them tremendously. And I think like the smaller things are so important. We talk about today, the number one issue we got today is potholes. Everybody's talking about the potholes all over the place, all over the city. And we try to figure out how can we get those done fast. So there's people in our city that have small things that can get done faster. And I always say, if you get the small things done fast, the large things don't happen. So, we can address issues faster. And I think it's the same thing. You keep the same energy, though, with the lottery that we have. We have a great energy with the lottery. That does not mean you don't have this. That don't mean you change the energy. I think the energy still stays the same with the same repair program. And maybe it is like still a highlight moment where they are still going through some type of, even if you do get awarded the money, there is like a selection process, whatever they do, but you still make sure that we make that, we still market it, so.
Yes, no, thank you, Councilmember. I think we're done. Councilmember McCoy has her hand back up. Or is that the same hand?
Nope, that's a different hand.
Okay.
Thank you. I just want to say that no, I understand the reason why we have these ideas, and I just want to say to Councilwoman Willard, she's actually coming up with some really great legislation. Our issue seems to be is that we are not putting together a process, or we're leaving the process portion in the hands of people that are not if they're not thinking it the same way that we're thinking it should go, it's not going to move that way. I'm like, process is so important. And to be intentional about how this thing moves forward. And I just want to make sure that I added that portion because the legislation always looks great until it's time to actually see how this thing will be implemented. So I just wanted to make sure that I put that out there. Thank you so much.
No, thank you, Councilmember McCoy. Any public comment for this specific legislation? Two. So yes, if you guys can come up, if you line up, for anyone to make public comment, we can line up. We can make it, a little bit quicker that way. All right, state your name, district. You have 3 minutes.
Hello again. I'm Gene Messick. I work with the homeless in District 4. I wanted to voice support for this program, the homeowner repair program. I think it's great that we're bringing it back to the city. We have a huge problem in the city of properties falling into dilapidated conditions, and then the responsibility falling on the city to clean up after that. We spoke about, 3 weeks ago with the real estate and housing budget hearing about all the money that they spend cleaning up these messes, all these vacant properties that are just falling apart and becoming hazards. I think if we can get ahead of the game, help people that are struggling to maintain their housing, to keep it in livable condition, we can avoid having to spend all this money over and over and over again 10, 15 years down the line. I mean, times are tight. We need to make sure that our dollars are doing the absolute most they possibly can to keep people stable. So thank you for that.
Yes, thank you. The next public commenter. If you can state your name, your district, and you have 3 minutes. Yeah, anybody online?
Good evening, council members. My name is Lourdes Rivera. I reside on the 5th District. First, I would like to say that our homeowner repair program would be better in a wait list rather than a lottery program, because a lottery program would be a pick and choose rather than a wait list would be easier and faster. I was part of the home repair program by Westside Grow Together back in 2018, and I was one of the first 10 houses to qualify. And it was a very fast and easy process. My house took about maybe less than 2. Yeah, they was repair and what they did, my roof and the windows, but it was a different program, but it was a home repair program, but they did it quite fast with their contractors. My next issue would be eviction to me is not the proper way to go, rather than help the tenant with a rental assistance to help keep them safe in their home. Vacant property if the owner would not be able to repair, by providing them financial assistance, we help them to get the houses repaired and be placed in the market with a fair rent value. That way, the main problem, it will provide those owners would provide this house in a low rent. Last, I'm trying to probably be out of, but I'm just trying to see all my comments all at once. And last, this is not in tonight's agenda, but also land banking should be able to be affordable for first-time owners. Some of these houses are way too expensive for low-income people to qualify. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Thank you. Yeah, online we have, yes, ma'am. I thought you, no? Okay.
I just saying that with the home repair program, with the West Side Grow Together, but I don't know, when you give this money, just choose whichever program it goes to, because the lottery, I think it was the city, correct? And then the West Side together with the wait list. What I wanted to bring it is that the wait list to me was, at the time, was not lottery, but I heard of other people trying to get the lottery, and it was hard for them to qualify within the city. While the wait list with the home repair program with the site grow together, when I went in, it was an easy and faster solution for me. Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you for your comment. Councilmember McCoy asked to be excused, so she is leaving out. Our next public commenter is Mimi. She's online. Oh, you're public. Okay, sorry. Oh, no, never mind. Online, Mimi.
Hi, it's me again, District 1. I support this. I'm glad there's a lot of good ordinances on the table tonight because a lot of them show like the different angles of stability. And this is just one of those. It shows that sometimes losing housing has nothing to do with, like being evicted. It's just a repair that you can't afford and everything crumbles. And I know this from personal experience. But for some people, the only help had been the lottery. And it always kind of baffled me because, like, why are we gambling with people's homes? Like a lottery for your home, like a scratch ticket for help almost. And the ordinance admits it right in the text. I love that. It shows that the lottery has drawbacks. There's no wait list. There's no way to plan. You just pray that your number gets called. And I also do hope that we go back to a repair program. I hope more organizations sign on. I hope we can change it to a priority over just a wait list, a streamlined process. Seniors and disabled getting priority would be ideal. But honestly, a wait list priority either is better than just hoping you're lucky. So I really hope this passes. I really hope we get back to the repair program, and thank you.
Yes, thank you. Our next public commenter is Lip Bentley. She's online, or she, sorry.
Can you hear me?
We do hear you.
Oh, sure, thank you. I'm all for this. I do think the lottery should be done away with. And I would like to see priorities going to the most vulnerable and the most pressing situation, and also that there's some type of plan for emergencies. I think that's a very good idea as well. That's it. Thank you.
No, thank you. Councilmember Willauer, would you like to close out on any comments about the creating a home repair program?
Well, thank you, Madam Chair. So this program, again, would be a home repair program, getting back to operations the way City of Wilmington used to have it before we had the lottery. And, depends, repairs can be expensive, but just to give a sense of the impact, if the repair was $10,000, like roof, we could impact 50 families with a $500,000 allocation from the budget. So hopefully we can do more for homeowner repair, but I just wanted to give the public an understanding of how, if we have these different programs, I think the $16 million that's been proposed to give to developers, it would be $16 million and 200 units that would be affordable for a short period of time. I really do appreciate the administration's focus on affordable housing and bringing up this issue in this year's budget cycle, but I think we need to have kind of a range of approaches, and this one as one of them. So I and some other council members are advocating that the city put $500,000 into homeowner repair as part of this year's budget, and hopefully we can, as council, pass this ordinance. And again, this reflects things that constituents have brought up, the need for a home repair. Thank you.
Yes, no, thank you, Councilmember Willauer. We're going to move to our next agenda item, which is ordinance number 26-030, ordinance to amend Chapter 8 of the City Code to create a vacant property rehabilitation assistance program. And this is sponsored, Councilmember Willauer's legislation.
Well, thank you very much, Madam Chair. And just to, this is the first legislation I've ever sponsored. So, there's 3 tonight, but it's not like it's always like this. But these are a long time coming. So, creating a vacant property rehabilitation program, this is something, before and now, I hear a lot of people who especially now, people contact me. They say, I'm getting vacant property fees. The city's taking my property to sheriff's sale. Can you assist me? And, there are vacant property owners who don't care about their properties. You know, they live somewhere else. They don't even think about the vacant property. They're speculators. You know, the city really needs to hold them accountable. But there are also people who may have inherited a family home, or they bought the home and they don't quite have enough money to repair it. And so far, the city of Wilmington's policy response has been to fine people who have a vacant property as a way to get them back into use. What this legislation does is to try to say, listen, if you have the goal of getting your vacant property back into use and you want to make it available for housing that's affordable, the city of Wilmington has a program to help you do that. We're not just going to take money from you if you don't rehabilitate your vacant property. We are actually, if you qualify for the program and are you're a good actor, the city of Wilmington is going to have a program to help bring that vacant property back into use. And this is something I've heard for many years, is we need to, in the city of Wilmington, we need to use carrots as well as sticks. So that's what this legislation is all about.
Yes, thank you, Councilmember Willauer. I would like to say that the mayor administration wrote a memo to this piece of legislation. They're actually in support of this piece of legislation, but they did request an amendment. Currently, right now, the current legislation only includes funds from the neighborhood stabilization. So I don't know if you're interested in include the mention of federal and other grant funds as the administration requested, Councilmember Willauer?
Yes.
Do you want to do that now, or you want to do it later, or?
I think it's best to do it later.
Okay.
I'll communicate to the legal department.
All righty. Any questions from council colleagues? Online, in person? Any public comments in person, online for vacant property? We have Mimi online.
Sorry, my dogs are barking like crazy. Can you skip me? I'm sorry.
Yes, that's fine. We have one more legislation tonight. So I don't know if there's any closing comments that you have, Councilmember Willauer, but this will be on the City Council June 4th. Everything except for the first piece of ordinance that we went over will be on June 4th City Council meeting. Councilmember Willauer, any closing thoughts? You good?
I'm good, thank you.
All righty, thank you. All righty, so our last piece of legislation for tonight is an ordinance to amend Chapter 8 of the City Code to create a security deposit and first month's rental assistance pilot program. The sponsor for this is Councilmember Alex Hackett.
Thank you, Chair. I just want to say with Councilwoman Willauer, this is my first piece of legislation too, so I guess this is a good night for both of us. I'm extremely happy. I think when I first came into council, I was just trying to figure out, how everything worked. You could be on one side, and then you get inside and you see how everything's different. So, I'm happy to be sharing the floor with you tonight in our first ordinance. This ordinance creates a security deposit and first month rent assistance pilot, program to be administrated by the Department of Real Estate and Housing to provide eligible emerging talent resident tenants in the city of Wilmington up to $2,000 in assistance. The maximum $1,000 for security deposit and $1,000 towards first month rent. This is important, and I think when I first started, because we're gonna have multiple conversations about this, I was just looking at the city of Wilmington, trying to figure out how we can continue to bring more people into the city. We talk about our shortfalls, and we're in a deficit $1.7 million, and we need more people to move to the city of Wilmington, so that we can get more wage tax, so that we can get more property taxes. So that was like the initial thought. But then, we get a letter from the mayor's administration. My colleagues called me, and we talked about what it looks like, especially about affordability in our city. The mayor's administration, they quoted that this ordinance creates a feel-good. The categories, they do not reflect Wilmington's labor market or the affordability challenges faced by lower income workers. And they're absolutely right. I think we all talked earlier today, and I called several of my council members to try to figure out how we can put some amendments into this legislation that helps it move forward The mayor's administration stated certain different things. So I don't know if, we have to put the amendments on tonight, but I'm definitely in consider of putting 80% AMI on this legislation. The mayor's administration also talked about there are also duplications. This ordinance duplicates existing efforts without demonstrating how sustainable filling a gap improvement. Those programs that they talk about is that they also give relocation incentives for individuals working for the Wilmington government and City of Wilmington employees, Live Where You Work program. Once again, that's something to purchase a home. We also they included that it's a first-time home buyer assistance program that we have. Now, when I thought about this security deposit and first month rent, I just wanted to look and see, was it out there? Is anybody doing this? And our state is not doing this. I went to the mayor's administration and I asked them, they said, hey, listen, the state does this right now. And they said, well, the state building is right next door. If you want to learn about it, go walk over there. And that's exactly what I did. I walked over to the state building and got an opportunity to learn different things. Their rental department is in Dover. It is not in the City of Wilmington. And they also don't do first month or security deposit for our residents in the City of Wilmington. So that's why this legislation is embarked, for me to put it up. And I can continue to go on, about it. But this is just simple math. We've been talking about how we can lower the rent for residents. Right now, if you are on a 12-month lease, let's just put an example of $1,000, but you also have to now pay a security deposit, most likely of $1,000. That would put you at 13-month rent of $1,000. And you do that equation, that's $13,000 for the year. $13,000 divided by 12 is $1,083.33. If we were to subsidize, because basically what we're doing, we're subsidizing the renter so that they can exit those barriers and move in quicker. They would now be paying $11,000. If you divide that by 12 months, that is $916.66. That is now, their rent would decrease by $166.67. Now, I don't know about you, but we've been hearing residents talk about that they got to pay for medicine, they got to pay for their electric bill, water, and different things. I think this gives them the opportunity to also be able to shift some of that funding towards there. So I'll open the floor up to any of my council members to see if they have any discussions about that.
Yes, any council colleagues who have any questions or concerns or thoughts? Councilmember Willauer.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. So we talked earlier, I asked if you would consider adding a, affordable, restricting the program to people who had incomes of less than 80%. It sounds like you're going to do that.
Yes.
And then, so that's great. That's really great. This is about what writing legislation is all about. It's like putting ideas together. So I really appreciate you being open to kind of developing the legislation. And I guess my other question would be, right now it's limited to certain, people in certain professions. And I was going to ask if you might consider removing that and have it be open to anybody who can't.
I didn't hear what you say.
Oh.
Moving the profession.
Right now it's only
yes.
open to certain professions. And I was wondering if you would be open to removing that, and so that anybody working in any field who couldn't pull together security deposit and first month's rent but could afford the rent could benefit from this program.
Yes, I think what I'm most likely going to change it to is just that, if you work in the city or if you live in the city and you got the 80% AMI. Once again, the mayor made it simple that, they can't support this legislation simply because it does not reflect Wilmington's labor market or the affordable challenges faced by lower income workers. So my job when we hear that, because we got to work together, is to make sure that we can continue to change the legislation, that it fits both. I think we're all out here trying to do the same thing, and that's to help our residents in the City of Wilmington. So yeah, I'm totally on board with it.
Alrighty, any council colleagues online? Any comments? Any in person? Yes, if any in person, if you can line up. If you want to make a comment.
So again, I'm Gene Messick. I work with the homeless in District 4. I wanted, I had a different statement set up for this, but hearing the you're so organically open to feedback on it is really encouraging, Councilor Hackett. You know, I know a lot of people that have called Wilmington home in the past and have been displaced and had to move out to the suburbs simply because they're priced out, you know. And I was worried about the amount of attention that we were in this legislation we were putting on bringing new emerging talent into the city when we have so many people that would love to come home and call Wilmington home again if they had the opportunity. People that can afford the rent, but maybe not the initial moving expenses. So I'm really glad to see that it's opening back up. I'm a little concerned with the 80% AMI figure. I'm interested to hear more about why that specifically is the thought, given the average income is about $8,000 less than the 80% AMI figure. So I just want to know, you know, how does this serve the average Wilmingtonian, as opposed to, you know, just bringing in people from outside. So thank you.
Yes. No, thank you. You want to answer?
Yeah, and just to answer, I think, you know, the number one thing that I'm stating, and y'all going to see me when this legislation move forward, if it does, I'm going to be out there and I might be the first month rent guy, because I think it's just a bigger issue of the marketing, making sure that people are aware of what we have so that they can come forward to know that, like, we have these things available. That's the biggest thing for me. I think the city of Wilmington and council ourselves, we got to market better the opportunities and the programs that we do have so people can show up. And I'll leave it there. I don't know if it's more comments.
Yeah, Councilmember Willauer, are you able to address why 80% AMI? I know you're the expert.
I mean, Madam Chair, can I go?
Yes.
I mean, I think I think that the need for this kind of program gets bigger. Like, you're less able to afford security deposit and first month's rent the less your income is. So the greatest need is going to be people with lower incomes. At the same time, you know, there are people at 80, it's just like a lot of money to pull together for security deposit and first month's rent. So if it's, you know, like people are renting for $2,000, so then you have to pull together $4,000. So even at 80% AMI, there are families that have trouble pulling that amount together. So that's why, you know, I think you can build the program and maybe have a carve out and say, listen, we're going to put half of this or like 3/4 of it for for families that have incomes below 60% AMI, which gets you closer to kind of more City of Wilmington, the average. Like, half the people have income, half the families have incomes of less than $58,000. So you want to orient your program towards that half the families. But I think that you can do that and still leave room for people who are, you know, closer to 80% AMI, but, you know, still struggling.
Yes.
Because Delmarva bills and things like that.
Thank you, Councilmember Hackett. You had another comment? Oh, you good? No, council members online. Were there online comments? Mimi, public comment.
Hi. So I like the concept because the barrier is real. Thousands of dollars up front just to get housed is an impossible wall for a lot of people. But this isn't for struggling renters. It kind of just feels like a recruitment tool, like an economic recruitment tool. I support the idea. I mean, we want to help people get through that first like barrier to housing, that, you know, first, last, security deposit, all that. But we would need to make sure it's going to reach the people that actually need it. And I do understand there are people at the 80% AMI level that, you know, do struggle to come up with that kind of money. But the people below that, I mean, that's where the struggle is really difficult. I think we need to strip the profession requirement, make it income-based, make it about housing stability instead of just attracting talent. But the concept is great. Thanks.
Yeah,
Yes, thank you. Oh, Councilmember
Thank you,
Hackett.
Chair. Yeah, just want to make notice to Mimi that you're absolutely right. And, you know, I'm a council person that's I love criticism. I love being able to learn, and we get opportunities. Might have great ideas, but we can, change those to make sure that they fit both parties. I'm like I said, I'm just happy to be here, and once again, I'm continuously learning. So.
Yes, thank you. Alrighty. Would you like to close out
Yeah.
on a closing comment?
Yeah, and I just want to give, some few data here because, we did have a fiscal impact statement that was given. And if we was to donate, or I say donate, if we was to fund this at $1 million, it would give a reach of 500 families. For a home repair lottery, we spent $3.5 million and we've helped 286 families. For our $16.8 million that we say we're going to invest, that's going to have 200, new units to be in place, will probably help somewhere around 500, 600 people. So I just want to give this notice that, if we was to give $3.5 million to this, we'll be able to help almost 1,700 people. This is just something that is really needed in our city. And, I'm just happy, once again, I'm just happy to be a part of it. My first piece of, legislation to ordinance.
Yes.
Oh,
All
sorry
right, so
about
we
public
have
comment.
one more public commenter. If you can step up to the mic here, if you can state your name, and you have 3 minutes.
Coley Chappelle. I stay down the park. I've been down there since January 2023. So they're closing this, Tent City down? June 15th is that correct?
That is correct.
You do know I wouldn't be considered part of Tent City, right?
You were there in 2023.
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
That's established, right? That I'm not considered part of that, right?
It's the administration's policy. I couldn't speak to it.
So who do I talk to before?
Mayor John Carney.
Does he come to these?
He does not come to these
So how do I speak to him? By calling and leaving messages and not getting a call back?
So maybe one of our staff can give you how you can set up an appointment with John Carney in his office.
Can we do FaceTime?
Yeah.
But that is a fact. I'm not part of that. So, I mean, I really don't understand October to June. Like, it's because of after the election or whatever that was going on with whatever polling places was open. But it just seems kind of funny. And all the money that was supposedly given out. I'm looking at the stuff down there, I'm like, this is what people come and donate on Saturdays. We receive no food. Even though I get my own food. No clothes, no nothing. Like a lot of this stuff that's going on that people are sitting in offices trying to figure out. They're not asking anybody that's, excuse me, homeless how to do anything. You have no knowledge of it. You sit up and say, I'm gonna stop through here and I'm gonna pay my dues here. And, all right. Well, we could do January. Let's do December to February. And then people are like, you know what? Phew, I got a different understanding. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not part of that. They send all them people down there to mess the park up so they could finish where I was at from the beginning. Right, why they wanted to push me out. They couldn't make me leave because I'm a resident of the park. I'm a history. So, June 15th, I don't know what they got planned going on, but, I'm over in my own area for a reason. And y'all put me there. Somebody put me there. I lost all my animals. Even my service dog. 6 puppies. $5,000 a piece.
Well, thank you.
I'll be there June 15th. I mean, y'all, I'm gonna try and get in touch with him, but
Yeah,
I'm
me-
pretty sure I'm not gonna be able to.
Yeah, John Carney, pull up during the day.
Yeah, Johnny,
So-
right.
All right.
Yeah. So, who or what other meeting will they be having before June 15th? Because Well,
They had that meeting earlier.
we could get Channel 6 and Channel 3 and 10 to come on down. I'd get them to come on down. I'd do longer interviews.
Well,
Sure.
well, thank you, sir. I know council is advocating definitely for June 15th not to happen. It was a Mayor Carney's decision and his administration. We found out the same day everybody else did.
All right, so let me ask you a question. So between October and June, what has the city done? Well, we're going to go to June. The city done as far as saying, you know, we're letting you stay here.
This is public.
Some old porta potties.
Yeah.
They got one roll of toilet paper.
Yes,
And they don't
thank
even
you, sir.
clean them every Monday. They don't clean. And then they got all these jobs outsourced to companies outside of Wilmington. They throw away all my stuff.
I'm sorry about that.
Yeah, are you though? I could be lying. I am homeless.
Well, thank you.
I apologize.
appreciate it.
Sometimes I get to be an asshole.
Well, thank you for your
Hopefully
comment.
y'all can come out June 15th.
Yeah, it's already on my calendar.
It's gonna be.
It's already on the calendar, sir. All right, thank you. So we are, Councilman Hackett?
Yeah, just one last comment about the legislation. I just want to say this is a direct impact. It lowers the rent. It gets people in housing. The mayor's administration also say this GAP creates a program that is poorly structured. My job is to create the legislation. The mayor's administration, they create the program and how it's detailed and how it's going to work. So I would love for this to happen so that they can create a program so that it can happen through real estate and housing. And that's it.
Yes, no, thank you everyone for participating, for coming out. Love the engagement. I am going to ask for a motion. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Any second?
Second.
All right, it has been properly moved in second to adjourn. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All the ayes win. Motion carried. Thank you, guys. Have a good night, Wilmington.